introduce themselves. So
Yes. You want Nisha? The time is 8:55, sir. YouTube will start
Moment
the
you've
live
done
stream.
Facebook, YouTube, and all the three, you tell me, I'll go.
So I'll start it, sir.
All the three?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Another minute, I'll go. Venkat, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, students, faculty members, and all those who are joining us for this program this morning. Thank you, Professor Manu Vora, for taking time to joining us for this program. It's a very important program for the college students because we interact with a lot of college students. We have a lot of MMA chapters established in colleges, and we find that technical skills they are able to develop, but they lack real guidance on how to plan their career and all that. So this session today, I think will be very, very helpful to all of them. To talk about more about the session, to introduce the guest speaker of the day, may I request Executive Director of the Madras Management Association, Group Captain R. Vijay Kumar, Visishta Seva Medal to take it further, please. Sir, all yours.
Thank you, Venkat. You just heard Group Captain Venkat is my Deputy General Manager, MMA. He is the one who steers all the programs for day-to-day and plus also management student activities along with Mr. Prakash, the manager. And very good morning and very warm welcome to each one of you, dear students. And I'm quite sure you must be quite excited to hear. Before I'll hand over the session to Mr. Manu Vora after introducing him, let me briefly touch upon what MMA is doing and how we adapted ourselves to the change. Since the time lockdown was introduced on 25th of March, we have adapted ourselves to the online platform, and every day we conduct a number of programs from morning till late in the evening. Morning we start with the yoga, meditation, and thereafter 8 to 10 o'clock we share quiz, which you all must be getting every day through your SMSs. Then 11 o'clock every morning there's a lecture by a prominent corporate leader or a leader from of repute to honored subject which is related to COVID-19. At about 1 o'clock we share every day excellent articles for you to read. Thereafter we also share a business puzzle to kindle your thought process. From 2 to 5 o'clock every evening you lined up a series of workshops, certificate courses for the people to invent themselves, learn, unlearn, relearn, because this is a time they have to really upskill themselves so that when they are totally ready, when the COVID-19 is over, when they come to the environment. Again, in the 6 o'clock in the evening, we have lined up some outstanding lectures for the benefit of our members. The intention is to keep our members stay locked down and keep the social distancing, at the same time intellectually enriching for yourself. That's the objective of our program, and I know my team has sent lakhs and lakhs of SMSs and emails to reach out to a large number of people so that nobody misses this event. And before I hand over, let me briefly tell you what's happening in MMA in terms of the events. Besides this event, which is there going to happen short while from now, tomorrow, 30th April, like this evening, 29th of April at 6 p.m. in the evening, we have Dr. M.K. Narayanan. He is a former National Security Advisor and also former Governor of West Bengal. He's going to be talking to us on geopolitical and geoeconomic consequences of COVID-19. And this will be in conversation with Harsh V. Pant. He is the Head of Strategy Studies of Vora. And this program is going worldwide. We have viewers from all over the world, including all the Vora members, and large number of members are going. This is a very, very difficult, interesting subject to understand geopolitics and geoeconomics. I urge upon you to just log in and see in your webinar. Then tomorrow, 30th April, 11 a.m., we have got COVID-19, the way forward for banking, which is very, very important thing. And we got two seasoned speakers, Sheshashai, Vice Chairman of Induja Group, and Mr. Kamakodi, who is the Managing Director of City Union Bank, and is going to be there in discussion with Mr. Viswanathan, who is Editor of Industrial Economic. At 6 p.m. again, we have a nice event, stress management by one of the outstanding thought leader, is the head of Ramakrishna Mission at Swami Nikleshwaranand, and he's from Ramakrishna Mission Rajkot, Gujarat. And thanks to Mr. Manu Vora for connecting him to us, and he has kindly agreed. Do listen to him. He's an outstanding speaker. You can see him regularly in a number of YouTube channels, and please watch him. And he's going to tell you some inside secrets how to keep yourself stress-free during this difficult time. On 1st May, again at 11 a.m., we have outstanding event, socio-economic implications of India healthcare response to COVID-19. We got three outstanding speakers. Sarvan Subramaniam is the MD of Roche Diagnostic, Aarti Shivanand, partner, Sagar and Preeta Venkatachalam, partner, Bird Spam Group. And the other three think tank, we're going to share their insight on, because we're all worried what's happening in the healthcare industry. I think will be a great insight for us. On the 1st of May, 6 p.m., we have a marketing for the future by none other than our own C.K. Ranganathan, founder and chairman of Cabin Care. Along with him, David Appasamy will be in conversation with him. He's a branded of strategy of social bait. On 2nd May, again, we have a successful success stories, how it was done by outstanding director Bharat Bala. You all know who has produced that movie Vande Mataram. He's going to be talking to us on screenwriter, producer, writer, and along with him Aishwarya Manivanan, who is a world Silamam champion, going to be with us that night. Then on the third evening, again, we have brought in education, we have brought in medicine, we have brought in geopolitical economics and banking. We thought we also bring it to you what's happening in Indian politics. We have a session on COVID-19 impact on Indian politics. We have three outstanding political leaders, Palnivel Tyagarajan, MLA from Chennai, Mafai Pandirajan, Minister for Tamil Nadu, and Ema Chandran, Member of Parliament from Kerala will be talking, and Prime Pan Srinivas will be joining and moderating. So we have lined up some excellent event for you. Please do join, log in. This is all free for students and everyone. So we all got the login, the same login which you're doing. And since we have only limited access to in Zoom, we'll have everything. Let me come to today's topic, why we are done. We had a conversation with Dr. Manu Vora, because in the time lockdown, one community which has got seriously impacted in the student community. You are very uncertain about it, when the institution is going to reopen for you. How are you going to educate yourself further? Many of you had a dream of going abroad and studying, must have already prepared yourself for GMAT, CAT and everything. But what's going to happen? Now the country has started looking inward. They're not taking outside students. And what is the opportunity for you? How you have to realign yourself, how to relook yourself. There's a time for you to introspect yourself, make sure that you are focused on what you want to do, so that your career is not jeopardized by the various things what's happening in the lockdown. Now, one is you are very clear is education does not end with the certificate from the leading institution where you are studying. Qualification is only a bit degree. It teaches you a lot of jargons to understand the content, but more what we require today is a workplace is totally opposite actually. It is about the depth and the knowledge, and successful career needs a detailed orientation. What I mean by detailed orientation, you should be very clear about the art of execution. Execution is all about details. It's needed for your success in your career, wherever, whatever your endeavor is there. So what I will urge upon you, each one of you, to be excited about details, whatever you do actually. It's all about we over me actually. When you come to the environment, it will be all about teamwork, and it's not that me, because as an individual in the institutions, you compete against yourself to top the university. When you join the organizations, when you're an entrepreneur, it is a we. You have to make the entire thing work for you, and that is the idea thing. So start inventing yourself, as I mentioned, and self-introspection is the order of the day. Understand what is the passion in you, some of the qualities what you have in you, because it will really strengthen your the ability to be successful. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you could do that. To talk all this and more, that's why we organized this talk today by one of the outstanding speakers in the world today, is effective decision making in difficult times. Let me have the privilege of introducing Dr. Manu Vora. First, let me warmly welcome you, sir, and thank you for joining us from Chicago. I know the weather there is totally different, and the adversities there is also totally different, but we are no different than what's happening in Chicago. The world is all on the same boat today, sir. And let me have the privilege of introducing Dr. Vora. He's a chairman and president of Business Excellence Group in USA. He's a global quality management group, and he's got over 45 years of experience guiding Fortune 500 companies. He's associated with over 80 educational institutions worldwide, and delivered number of educational institutions, being a mentor and guide for most of them actually. In the year 2016, appointed as the Fulbright Scholar, Fulbright Specialist by the US Department of State, and he is by qualification is a BTech degree and IIT, and also MS, and also has a PhD in chemical engineering in Chicago, and MBA from Marketing and Management, one of the leading universities in the world. He's also a past president of ASQ and ASQ fellow, and is a sought after speaker worldwide. Is addressed over 1,000 presentations in 17 countries and 5 continents. Published over 70 articles. He's got number of awards for his outstanding contribution in the field of management and also lifelong community services. Ladies and gentlemen, I think each one of you today who are joined today are blessed to hear Dr. Vora. And please put your questions if you have any chat box. All those who are watching this program live from YouTube, Facebook, or webinar, type your question, send it to your question by SMS or WhatsApp, the number which is been coming all through in the webinar. Have a great day and take this as a very serious learning turning point in your career. Now, let me warmly once again welcome Dr. Manu Vora. It's all yours, sir. We're all eagerly looking forward to hearing you.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, Captain Vijay Kumarji, Captain Venkatramanji, and special thanks to Mr. Sundar and Mr. Shankar for all the technical support. So with that, I want to welcome all the students and faculty who have joined today. It's my pleasure and a privilege to talk to you briefly about the issue of developing the career and how do we go about doing it. And incidentally, I think we need to mute other people. Some additional people are talking.
Yeah, another four more, sir. Once the 4 more comes, will be closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, please close it. The screen is on. Could you mute, please?
I think we need to mute everyone.
Sir, could you mute everybody, please? Moment, Professor. You're muting everybody.
Recording the
Are you muting? I don't see everybody is muted.
As mentioned, the topic is of quite relevance to all of us because this is a lifelong pursuit of developing, planning, and continue to execute our plan. So the focus is on 4 pillars to be successful in our career development. The very first pillar is the planning. And I'll be delighted to share a cycle put together by Dr. Deming, one of the quality stalwart. Second item is we can do the planning, but we need to keep in mind what is our strength, what we are good at, and how do we leverage our strengths so that our plans are successful all the time. The third pillar is the importance of soft skills. So we'll go into that in quite a bit of detail, because there are a number of issues we need to master as we go along in our journey of life. And the very fourth pillar is the community service. What do we do to help others in need? And particularly during the critical issue of COVID, we are all confronted with the difficult choices, but at the same time, we need to unmute mute பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கோம் அவங்கள எல்லாரையும். Okay, bye. Mr. Shankar, can I request you to mute everyone so that nobody speaks? Thank you. So with that, and then we have 2 wonderful YouTubes, which will be very instructive on 2 different topics. So let's continue the journey here. Very briefly, what I'm going to share with you is my personal experience from the last 58 years. And that journey started for 2 years at Khalsa College in Mumbai, where I studied science. Then I had a great honor to join BHU, which has become now IIT BHU, for 4 years to get the degree in chemical engineering. and came over to US as a Tata Scholar to go to Illinois Institute of Tech, spent 7 years to get master's and PhD, worked in the chemical industry, and then did my MBA. So basic idea is whatever I observed over the last 58 years, I just wanted to give you the sense of what I have learned from it in terms of my own personal career and how it can impacted me, and how the lessons I've learned, I can pass it on to others. So the very first item, and let me see if I can move this strip down because it's taking away the space. Dr. Deming is the person, quality management guru. He was sent along with Dr. Juran to Japan by the US government after World War II to rebuild their industrial economy. And they taught Japanese how to do quality improvement, process improvement, quality management, etc. Now, this cycle of Dr. Deming is very instructive. There are 4 components: plan, do, study, and act. So the idea is you need to have 10% excellent planning, but the planning, you should not stop at that. You need to have 90% flawless execution. So let's talk about all of you while you are in the university. You need to plan out your studies, what you want to study, why you want to study, because based on the areas of interest, and then think about future career. Once you graduate, what are you going to do? And we'll pick it up in the decision-making metrics. I'll be showing the number of opportunity to join various sectors. Also think about starting your own family down the road. What are you going to do with all that? So all the planning is extremely critical. And that plan, once you are put in place, and it should be a written plan, you begin to execute the plan. Once you have executed the plan, you need to study the results and see, are you on track? And if you are not on track, keep making adjustment, so act on it, and then continue the cycle. Now, bottom line is, if we fail to plan, we are planning to fail, and that is given. And I can mention one thing. With my interactions with students and faculties and professionals over the years in India, as well as here in the Western world, I believe we can improve our planning aspect. Planning in India requires much more effort. A lot of things happen at the last minute, and things work out, so we don't worry about it. But when things don't go well, you are in trouble, and that's when the importance of planning is understood. So planning is the first pillar, extremely critical. And let me segue into the second pillar, which is the understanding our own strength. This is the wonderful work done by Gallup organization. Gallup is a marketing company, very active during political season. And they have studied successful people from around the world. And they've written a book called Strengths Finder 2.0, published in 2007. They've identified 34 major strengths from successful people, various industry across the world. And they define the strength as the ability to consistently provide near perfect performance. Ability to consistently provide near perfect performance. And they also define strength as a multiplier of talent time the investment. So if you look at the graphics in the middle, there is a strength, and 3 bubbles at the top are the talents: thinking, feeling, and behaving. By talent, I mean what comes naturally to us. We are hardwired with it, and we are very good at it because it comes automatically to us. And then the investment is building up the skills, the knowledge, and the experience. It's a very powerful concept. And let me share with you 2 examples to bring it home. So the first example is, there was a ping pong player the coach found out that the player was very good with the forehand stroke. So he decided to give him so much practice with the forehand stroke only, not to worry about the backhand stroke. And with that extra practice with the forehand stroke, the person won the world championship for ping pong. Why? That person was playing with his strengths. So when you play with your strengths, you're going to have a fantastic results. And a lot of time, you don't need much of the supervision. The second example refers to when you take the report card back home for a semester. There were 5 subjects you were studying, 3 A's, 1 B, and 1 C. When you sit down with your parents and you have about half an hour to 45 minutes to discuss your progress report in the school or the university, most of the time focus is on C. This theory of strength talks exactly opposite, 180-degree apart. It says more time should be spent on discussing the 3 subjects where the person has received A. That means those are the areas of preference. You need to spend a little bit of time on B to see whether B becomes an A, and very little time on C to allow extra resources, because C may never become A. It may become B at the end of the day. So don't make the student miserable by focusing on the wrong thing. Try to build upon the strengths and manage the weaknesses so they don't come. We need to. May I request kindly everyone not to open their microphone so that we can have a good flow. Thank you. Now, what you do is you can get a new book, Strengths Finder 2.0. It's available online, and currently supply chain is disrupted, but whenever the situation improves, you buy the book. It has to be a new book because at the back of the book, there is a sealed envelope with a code in it. And when you open that sealed envelope and a code, we will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. So hold your questions and you can put it in the chat box. So when you take the test online using the code, at the end of the completion of the test, you will get your top 5 strengths out of 34 major strengths put together by the Gallup. And just to give you an example, and what do you do with those 5 strengths? You need to put it on your resume or the curriculum vitae just below the objectives. And that will say my top 5 strengths, which will allow qualitative discussion when you go for interview for a placement. I'm sharing 5 strengths for my test I took some time ago. So the 5 major strengths for me, I'm an arranger, more like a conductor of a symphony, where I can see all the variables and able to arrange them to have a wonderful symphony at the end of the day. I'm an achiever. I have an inner drive. It keeps me moving. I'm a learner. I move from ignorance to the competence. 4th, I'm a maximizer, look for excellence first from myself and then from people around me, including my family members. And 5th, I'm a relator. Once I come in contact with people, I begin to build the relationship because that's a lifelong pursuit to work with others. So the bottom line is, in order to be successful in our careers, first we need to know our strengths, use those strengths in all the encounters, all the things we are planning to do, and couple that with an excellent plan, the first pillar. So first and second pillars go hand in hand, and continue to use your strengths, not your weaknesses, because you will be miserable when you focus on the weaknesses. But when you use your strengths and manage so that the weaknesses do not come in the way. Now, Gallup wrote another book called Soar with Your Strengths, and there is one very humorous sentence which I will read. You don't teach a pig to sing, it annoys the pig and wastes your time. So the essence is, in reality, what we do is, whether you are in the study at the university or you are working or doing internship, when something goes wrong, you get a lot of attention. But when you do something good, people take it for granted. So the theory of strength is focus on strengths, encourage people to use their strengths, and allow them to be self-sufficient, and let them do the best they can for the organization and for themselves. Now we have segued getting into the third pillar, which is the soft skills. Now here I'm sharing with you World Economic Forum's Future of Job reports. What are the top 10 skills needed? And you pay attention to the left side. In 2020, is the complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence, judgment and decision making, service orientation, negotiation, cognitive flexibility. So those are the areas which one need to shore up in order to be available and in order to compete at the global level. Now, if you look at your own curriculum, and if there are faculties along with the students who are in the session, a lot of these subjects are not part of the curriculum. And that's a pity, because these are the skills needed in the workplace. Students who graduate, they do not have the right skills. So the industry and the workplace has to reskill them, and they need to have more skills, reskills and upskills, etc. So this is a vicious cycle. Will it not be nice to include these items in the curriculum in the first place? Make the students so good at these skills along with other soft skills, which we'll be talking very soon, so that they are outstanding, ready to tackle any problem, any issues given to them in any of the domain they are entering. Now we'll move on to other aspect of the soft skills. So we begin with the foundation, the communication. Let's pay attention to the bottom half of the slide here. It says, no matter what job you have in life, your success will be determined 5% by your academic credentials, 15% by your professional experience, and 80% by your communication skills. And you have to fill in the word soft skills along with the communication skills. It's extremely important that it's not only the hard skill or the technical skills, but you are proficient in the soft skills, which are essentially the life skills. And in terms of the communication, we need to be looking at all three aspects, the verbal, the written, and the presentation. In the verbal part, the key is it should be clear, concise, effective, and non-verbal also counts. And the way to do this is to continue to practice, because nobody is born with the talent on this communication. This is a lifelong pursuit to continue to hone up your communication skill. In the written part, again, clarity, conciseness, very important to be effective. It should be meaningful. And again, the practice will make it perfect. Kindly mute. And on the presentation side, it should be clear, appropriate, concise, effective, and continue to practice. And more you practice, more you will have confidence that you can do it and you will do it well. Now, I want to share with you a decision-making tree diagram. Of course, this was the discussion we had 2 weeks back on effective decision-making in difficult times. So currently, this is not the time to talk about going on vacation, but when things come back to normal eventually, if you decide to go on a vacation, that's a decision level 1. There are more options at decision level 2, and each decision level 2 opens up decision level 3 with a specific outcome at the end. So on a single piece of paper, using this tree diagram, which is a quality management tool developed by Japanese and being used all over the world, you can put all this information on a single piece of paper and make a decision with the definite outcome, what you want to achieve. So if we take this tree diagram and apply it to your studies part, decisions about what branch you want to choose. So I decided to go into engineering, and I was good in chemistry and mathematics, so I chose chemical engineering. And of course, there are many other options within engineering: civil, mechanical, electrical, computer science, mining, metallurgy, telecommunication, etc. Then along the way, I decided I want to get a business degree, and I did major in marketing, but then you can do accounting, finance, operations, strategy, etc. Some of you may eventually end up in the law profession. So you go to law school, again, there are specializations, subspecialization. Medicine, there you can have family medicine, internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, so many choices. Or you prefer to go in the fine arts, liberal arts, life science, pharmaceutics. But keep in mind, you need to choose a branch based on your strengths and area of interest. A lot of time what happens that the parents make a decision for the children that they will end up either as a doctor or as an engineer. The student may or may not have the aptitude or the interest, and that's a mismatch. This is where I think the parents have to do well, ask the student, the youngsters, what is their area of interest, and allow them to explore those areas where they have strengths and the interest, and they will have much better future. They'll be very successful as well as happy with the choices they make. Now this decision tree continue on that same path. Once you finish your education, what is the end goal? Where do you want to find a placement? Some of you will choose the corporate world. Some of you who are brave enough, you want to become an entrepreneur, start your own companies. Some may become the educator. Some will join the government, and some may work for the NGOs, or some may join the R&D labs. Now, let me mention briefly about entrepreneurship. We had the honor to escort Professor Muhammad Yunus back in 2015 when he was here in Chicago, and he was getting interviewed by Chicago Public Radio. During the interview, he made a very profound statement. He said that our education system is lopsided. We are creating jobs seekers rather than job creators. We need to have an education system where there is more focus on generating more entrepreneurs who will develop the businesses and who will hire other people rather than keep begging for a job. And this is very, very important for the young group of students in India. We have a tremendous number of young people aged between 20 to 30, 34. And we need to make sure that you have the spirit of entrepreneurship, and that will serve you well for the rest of the life. Now we are looking at additional items. So let me give you a little bit of research. In the 20th century, it was mentioned that to be successful, we needed three things. What were the three things? Reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now in the 21st century, to be successful, it is given that you will have those under control, reading, writing, and arithmetic, but you need to pick up three new skills. And what are the three new skills? One is the teamwork, two, problem solving, three, project management. So teamwork, problem solving, project management, essential skills in the 21st century to be competitive and work in the global arena. Now, on this effective teamwork, there is a wonderful book by Patrick Lencioni, and a lot of books I'm mentioning, you can buy secondhand book at a fraction of a cost. And except the Strengths Finder 2.0, you have to buy a new book because you want to get a code which can only be used once to take the test to find your own strengths. Now, in these 5 dysfunctions of team, Patrick Lencioni talks about 5 of them. First one is absence of trust. So when a team is formed to solve an issue, or you are working on a team project, members of the team should be able to trust each other by sharing their strengths and weaknesses. Remember the theory of strength. And secondly, do not create artificial harmony when there's a discussion going on in a meeting. Normally, very few people speak and rest of them are quiet. The idea is exactly opposite. If the issue is of importance, everybody should speak up, and having collective input, you decide what is the most important issue you need to tackle. And then when the decision is made, everybody should fall 100% behind it. Third, as a team leader, when the assignments are being made to the team members based on their strengths and their interest as a volunteer, make sure that the assignments are unambiguous. When there is ambiguity, people cannot commit to deliver the results. Next, 1 or 2 members of the team out of 6 or 7 members, if they slack off, hold them responsible because their input is needed to put together the final outcome. Otherwise, it will be suboptimal. And the last one is, sometimes people get carried away by the status and ego when they are on a team. They forget to work on the issues and they are just enjoying the ride without doing any work. So in that case, what happens is the final outcome of the team is suboptimal. You will not get the best output from the team. Either you are solving a customer issue, operation issue, finance issue, or any other issues you are confronting, and you are given a challenge to solve that. Now that's just for the fun. Now, what is a team? A team is many hands and one mind. And this is what we need to keep in mind, that even during the university studies, you should try to form teams so that you can learn from each other, support each other, and collectively you are much stronger than individually. And keep in mind that most of the work in any domain at the workplace is accomplished through the teams. So more you are oriented to work in the team right from the university in a safe environment, you will do very well at the company setting in any domain. And extremely important to have a positive attitude, spirit of cooperation, collaboration, rather than competition and cutting each other down. And this is one of the things we can do more and better in India, learn more on collaboration and rather than competition. And let me share one not so pleasant statement that in India, individually, everybody is brilliant, but collectively, we start acting like fools. So you look at the Western world, individually, they are not as brilliant as individuals in India, but collectively, when they are working in team, they will leave their ego aside and they will produce the best results. So they are very good working in the team. And that's one lesson we all need to take heart and take it home. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about effective time management, and I'm sharing here the Eisenhower box. There are 2, on the y-axis, we see important or not important, and on the x-axis, urgent or not urgent. This particular diagram tells us that the things matters most is to working on important but not urgent. That's the top right quadrant. We should be spending almost 90 to 95% of our time there. It is where we need to put our schedule, make a time to do this. And this is where we want to do all the planning, researching articles, developing long-term strategy, keeping in touch with the family and friends, and doing physical exercise so that we are in the top shape to do the best work. Uh, Other thing is top left quadrant, important and urgent. This is firefighting, roughly 5 to 10% get it out of the way. Bottom right, not important, not urgent, delete it. It should not have any place in your schedule. And then bottom left, not important and urgent. If you have people working with you and for you, start delegating. So remember, in order to use our time effectively, we need to work on important things, not urgent. And I'm sure some of you may be keeping a to-do list on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly, yearly. That's a very good practice, because if you do that, you should put 1 or 2 items which are important at the top and clear that out on a daily basis. And then items which are not important, they can slide, and you are still okay because you worked on the most important item first. Now, here is a little bit of recap on the time management. The TV monitor is saying the bad news is time flies. The good news is you are the pilot. And on the top right, PUP, how can be most effective at this? So it says, plan to make time your partner, not an opponent. So when you use your time wisely, you're going to be very, very successful. Now, I just picked this up from the Facebook post. Very nice definition of time. It says, time is slow when you wait. Time is fast when you are late. Time is deadly when you are sad. Time is short when you are happy. Time is endless when you are in pain. Time is long when you feel bored. Every time is determined by your feelings and your psychological conditions, and not by clocks. So have a nice time always. This is something to reflect upon. That is our state of mind, which allows us to do well with managing the time. And if we don't manage the time, time will fly away and we will be left out. As I mentioned, teamwork, second critical skill in the 21st century is problem solving. And here are the steps of the problem solving. Sorry, this thing is coming in the way, so I'll put it at the top. Properly define the problem. Determine the magnitude of the problem by using the data, and determine the root causes. That means where the problem is coming from. What is the underlying issue? You need to identify that so that you can remove the root cause and find a better solution which will address the problem. And once you have possible solutions, you try them out. If one solution which gives you the best outcome, reducing the root causes, make that solution permanent. And then you are ready to tackle the next problem. So one thing I can mention here, if you have engineers in the audience, generally what we do is we find a solution first, and then we are hunting what problem have we solved. So don't do that mistake. In order to do effective problem solving, we need to take time to properly define the problem. When you have properly defined the problem, the journey of problem solving is moving in the right direction. Otherwise, you are doing something which has no meaning, and you are doing something which will not solve the issue at hand. Now, the last item in the 21st century requirement is the project management. Now, the research shows that world over, between 25 to 30% of the projects are successful and rest fail. I had a chance to be to the teaching in Egypt in Cairo, Egypt, with the government officers and working on change management program. And one of the component for successful change management is project management. So they say in government work in Egypt, it's 1 out of 5 projects are successful, only 20%. 80% of the projects fail. And that's a huge loss to the society. And I'm sure world over, the government work where there is a less oversight compared to the private sector, the project success is less than the corporate world. Now, in order to improve the success of your project 100%, there's a beautiful article from MIT Sloan Management Review, which requires that there are 5 crises of silence which the project leaders must overcome. Wonderful article. I would highly recommend to read it through your library. The first item is one must plan the project around the facts. Do not start the project without having adequate facts about the project. Next, project sponsor must provide support throughout the life of the project. Third, the team which is working on a project should be faithful to the project management process. And the project management is a discipline which I would say everybody should master. Unfortunately, this is where we lose out, and particularly at India scene, there are a lot of planning done, but those plans remain on paper. Execution is weak, so the results are not successful. And one need to honestly assess the progress and the risk for the project on a continuous basis. And the last, all team members must pull their weight. Extremely, extremely important that everybody who is on the team, they have an important role to play. They are working on a subset of the problem, and they definitely need to deliver their piece so that collectively the final outcome will be the solution and your project is complete. And when you turn it over to the customer, they are happy to receive it, and that's the way it should be. That's for the emphasis. Now I'm coming to the last item, the soft skills area, that is the change management. Now I'm going to share some of my personal story here to bring it home. So what happens is the decisions we make as a student or a professional at a given time will change because of the new circumstances, changing dreams and variety of experiences. So I started out as a student of chemical engineering, worked in the chemical industry for about 7 years. Then I was in the market looking for a job because the energy industry had a serious downturn in the 70s. I started doing my MBA, and I got picked up by AT&T Bell Labs in the telecommunication area. So I made a switch from chemical engineering to telecommunication. I had zero background. I picked it up, and then within a year, I got a chance to work on a special project on price modeling for electronic switches in the telecom sector. That project was very successful. And then the director I was working with got a new assignment on quality management, planning and execution for the switching system business area, as well as the front end systems engineering area. So he asked me, will you be interested in helping him to work on the project? Now, as I mentioned, I do not have the telecom background from the beginning. I was looking for something where I could use my talent and my strengths to work on areas which can have a big impact for the department and for the area. So I chose to go with my director's request, and that changed my life. I learned the quality management from the stalwart like Dr. Deming, Dr. Juran, and many other quality professionals, and got the fundamental knowledge about total quality management. And around that time, US Baldrige Performance Excellence Award framework was deployed. And we had a very big focus of that at AT&T Bell Labs. So I was using that, and I was consultant internally working with the teams of leaders on different issues. So that changed my entire outlook, and my career moved in the different direction. And one thing I learned, that people who enter the quality management discipline, their life also changes. I was a type A personality, always on the go. Once I joined the total quality management and learned fundamentals of quality and quality management, I've changed my lifestyle as well. And if you look at Dr. Juran, who lived up to the age of 104, Dr. Deming was alive until age 93 before he passed. So once you are in the quality management discipline, it changes your personal life as well. So my thinking here is that I changed from chemical engineering to telecommunication. And then along the way, I started teaching total quality management at a business school at my alma mater here, Illinois Institute of Technology, and brought the theory and practice both for my students in the MBA program. And along the way, I've started working on a number of nonprofit organizations, and I'll talk briefly about them in the next pillar, the fourth pillar on the community service. So keep in mind that whatever discipline you are in for the study at the university, it will not be the final destination in your life. Along the way, you will get many new opportunities. And if you are prepared and able to make a decision, proper decision, you will make much more out of it in your life. So be always open, be flexible, listen to your mentors, and learn to be ready to be at the front end of the change. Don't get run over by the change. You need to be flexible and ready to adopt to the new situation whenever it arises. Now, at this point, I'll request the YouTube by Professor Angela Lee Duckworth. I'll stop sharing. And the focus of this YouTube, the TED Talk, is about grit, which is the power of passion and perseverance to achieve the goals in the long term. So let's have the YouTube, please.
Yeah, just a minute, sir.
Excellent.
When I was 27 years old, I left a very demanding job in management consulting for a job that was even more demanding, teaching. I went to teach 7th graders math in the New York City public schools. And like any teacher, I made quizzes and tests, I gave out homework assignments. When the work came back, I calculated grades. What struck me was that IQ was not the only difference between my best and my worst students. Some of my strongest performers did not have stratospheric IQ scores. Some of my smartest kids weren't doing so well. And that got me thinking. The kinds of things you need to learn in 7th grade math, sure, they're hard. Ratios, decimals, the area of a parallelogram. But these concepts are not impossible. And I was firmly convinced that every one of my students could learn the material if they worked hard and long enough. After several more years of teaching, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is a much better understanding of students and learning from a motivational perspective, from a psychological perspective. In education, the one thing we know how to measure best is IQ. But what if doing well in school and in life depends on much more than your ability to learn quickly and easily? So I left the classroom and I went to graduate school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults in all kinds of super challenging settings. And in every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? My research team and I went to West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to the National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children would advance farthest in competition. We studied rookie teachers working in really tough neighborhoods, asking which teachers are still going to be here in teaching by the end of the school year. And of those, who will be the most effective at improving learning outcomes for their students? We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs and who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit in the Chicago public schools. I asked thousands of high school juniors to take grit questionnaires, and then waited around more than a year to see who would graduate. Turns out that grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate, even when I matched them on every characteristic I could measure. Things like family income, standardized achievement test scores, even how safe kids felt when they were at school. So it's not just at West Point or the National Spelling Bee that grit matters, it's also in school, especially for kids at risk for dropping out. To me, the most shocking thing about grit is how little we know, how little science knows about building it. Every day, parents and teachers ask me, how do I build grit in kids? What do I do to teach kids a solid work ethic? How do I keep them motivated for the long run? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that talent doesn't make you gritty. Our data show very clearly that there are many talented individuals who simply do not follow through on their commitments. In fact, in our data, grit is usually unrelated or even inversely related to measures of talent. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, and it is the belief that the ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort. Dr. Dweck has shown that when kids read and learn about the brain and how it changes and grows in response to challenge, they're much more likely to persevere when they fail because they don't believe that failure is a permanent condition. So growth mindset is a great idea for building grit, but we need more. And that's where I'm going to end my remarks, because that's where we are. That's the work that stands before us. We need to take our best ideas, our strongest intuitions, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we've been successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. In other words, we need to be gritty about getting our kids grittier. Thank you.
Okay, I'll be back at the sharing of the screen. And so what we heard from Professor Angela Lee Duckworth is we need to go with our passion and have a long-term goal. Don't settle for short-term wins. Go for a long-term goal, and then you will be successful, and you will make very good thing in the life. Now, the fourth pillar I wanted to walk you through, and this is where I'll be sharing with you two case studies from my own personal experience. Now, I want to bring in the specific work Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya ji, Bharat Ratna. He established the Banaras Hindu University in 1916, And I had a great honor to spend 4 years of my life, 64 to 68 at BHU, which became now IIT BHU for the engineering side. He says, I have no desire for kingdom, no desire for heaven, no desire for moksha. The only desire I have is to mitigate the sorrow of the living beings who are ridden with sorrow. I want to shine light into the darkness before people's eyes. He was the proponent of education, and particularly engineering education, along with all other faculty which are present at BHU, you name it, A to Z. And additional thing to remember is knowledge without humility is worthless. So more we learn, we need to be more humble and ready to help others. So the first case I want to share with you is about the free Gyandan. We started this project in 2013, and I want to share this specific line, which is very useful to remember. When you share the knowledge, it multiplies, and when you hoard the knowledge, it dies. It is extremely important to share the knowledge, whatever you gain along the life journey, and give it away before you go, because each one of us have a definite time on this earth. We receive so much from others, and we are standing on the shoulders of others. We need to pass it on to people who are coming down the life in the journey of life. So we did this Leadership Excellence Series project, and testing was done at IIT BHU, my alma mater. 12 topics, 5 shown in blue as the soft skills. 7 items in red are the quality management topics: leadership, teamwork, time management, meeting management, decision making. And then on the other side, for quality management, project management, risk management, talent management, voice of customer management, operational excellence, effective supply chain management, and sustainable change management. This program was delivered to 50 colleges. After perfecting it at IIT BHU, we had a series of consortium using Google Hangout. It was delivered to 50 colleges or universities in 14 states of India, benefiting 6,75,000 people. And that entire project is written up by American Society for Quality India office and the Leadership Excellence Project, and the link is provided. And I would request Captain Vijay Kumar ji and to put up the slides. I'll be sharing those so students can take benefit of it and go through the link. Now, in 2016, March 18th, I had a chance to be in Gandhinagar at the BISEC studio, where Swami Nikhilesh is sitting in the middle. He is going to giving talk tomorrow on 30th of April on stress and mind management, along with the Commissioner of Education, Mr. AJ Shah, gave a talk using the BISEC Studios satellite connection with 450 colleges in the state of Gujarat, effective time management reaching 5 lakh students. And that's a huge impact. Students were live, and the entire program was recorded professionally, and that link is also shared. Now, I want to talk a little bit about future direction in terms of skilling model. I was given an opportunity as an international advisor for a brand new university coming up in Alexandria in Egypt. In Egypt, like India, they have similar issue of unemployment, underemployment, and they were building a new university with the faculty in engineering, business, pharmacy, and medicine. And they challenged me to come up with a special curriculum because they were good at the core curriculum, but they needed something extra. So put together the curriculum for leadership, communication, research method, quality method, community service, entrepreneurship, and soft skills, along with the evaluation techniques. And if we look at the project from the Prime Minister Modi ji on skilling India, there's a huge challenge to closely about 200 to 300 million people, age group 20 to 34, needs to be skilled, reskilled, upskilled. So for the Egypt project, what we did was I suggested a portfolio approach where these 7 subjects will be studied both in theory and practice, year by year, 4-year or 5-year program, and create a report card on these 7 topics. And they need to complete the graduation and degree before they can get out 80% passing score. And they take this report card when they go for an interview. And people who are exposed to these skills will be much more employable compared to the one who had no idea about these skills. And then they can continue to hone up their skill at the workplace to hold the job and grow into the job. So when you master your soft skills, you have mastered your destiny. The last item is Free Chakshudan, a project started back in 1989. And there is a simple Sanskrit stanza, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya, God kindly lead us from darkness to light. So we started a foundation back in 1989 once we came to know that India has 15 million blind people, 1 out of 3 in the world. And incidentally, in 1959, while I was a student in the 8th grade in my native place, hometown of Amreli, I was blinded by accident with playing with the firecrackers, and my eyesight was gone. For 1 full day, I had no eyesight, and luckily I got recovery from the help of the eye doctor, removed the residue, and 30 years later, we started the Blind Foundation, and this is how the God works in a mysterious way. Our mission is to prevent and cure the blindness in India, and also provide education and rehabilitation to permanently blind people in India. And it's a huge challenge. 1/3 of the world's blinds are in India. So the project started, and we have raised so far $5 million since 1991, 210,000 free cataract operations, 1 million adults and 1 million school children eyesights have been checked. We gave from the foundation 10,000 braille kits to blind children to study with the sighted kids. 132 mobile vans have been donated in 19 states of India to do the screening outreach camps, go to the villages, screen out people, those who need cataracts. They're scheduled to come on the van. They come 10 minutes operation, stay overnight, and then they go back to the villages. And we have done 15 major projects with a rotary matching, 1 to 3 match, $500,000, 5 lakhs. Now, if you happen to shop using the Amazon, if you select Amazon Smile and make BFI as a beneficiary, we get 0.5% donation automatically on all the purchases you make. So to sum up the giving back impact, Free Gyandan 2013 to present, 6,75,000 people have been benefiting and benefited, and Free Chakshudan 1989 onward, 2 million people, adults and children, have received the free eyesight checkups. So let us light a lamp of knowledge and eliminate the darkness of ignorance. Now, this is the issue. What should you be putting on your resume? First, you need to understand what skills you need to emphasize. You need to emphasize both your specific role, look at the opening, identify the top skills listed in the job description and put it on your resume. Maintain a balance between hard and soft skills, extremely critical, because both are needed to be successful in the workplace. Back skills up with evidence and develop the skills you are lacking. This is a specific guidance for all of you who will be graduating and looking for a job. Now, I'll touch upon a few quick items in the interest of time. Now, as majority of you in the audience are student, master your subjects, show respect to faculty. And this is Indian tradition. You need to have respect for your faculty because they are the one giving you knowledge and all the gyan. Now, in order to have better retention, do pre-read and post-read the chapters, ask relevant questions in the classes, excel in both technical and soft skills, be up to date, open to new options, have variety of subjects, sample them, develop appreciation for national and international issues, be socially responsible, and if you are good at studies, mentor other students. And once you get the slides, if there are any educators in the audience, they must renew the knowledge and they should be the role model for others and all the students, and they should be approachable and they can mentor other educators. And for entrepreneurs, basically you need to have a dream and a vision and learn from other entrepreneurs and do well. Now, I want to share with you a specific article put together by Professor Clayton Christensen. He is one of the most revered faculty from Harvard Business School. He was a professor emeritus. Earlier in the year, he passed away. He says, how will you measure your life? This was the lecture he gave to the graduating class at Harvard Business School in 2007. And so the class of 2007, 2008, around that time, the bubble had busted, and he gave this lecture and it's been written up in Harvard Business Review. He says, create a strategy for your life, allocate resources wisely, create a family culture of trust with each other, avoid this just once. It's about ethics. Do not cross the ethical boundary. He says, be humble. So if you graduate from Harvard Business School, do not have air in your head. When you come in interaction with others, make sure every interaction becomes learning interaction because everybody can teach something. And the last item is use the right yardstick. It is not how much money you will make in life, or how many cars you own, or how many residences you have, including vacation homes, but how many people have you touched during your lifetime. That's the right yardstick you need to measure the value of your life. And I'm very happy to share that at least through the Blind Foundation for India work, delighted to touch at least 2 million people in India, and through education effort, approaching almost 750,000 people, students, faculty, professionals, etc. That's the real satisfaction in life. We will play one last YouTube, and then we'll take the questions on the chat box.
Sure, sir.
And this is very motivational from the famous football coach Lou Holtz from University of Notre Dame. So enjoy the YouTube.
Silver spoon in my mouth, I know. I was born in Fallsby, West Virginia. And I went by where I was born last night, about 10:30. I was born in a cellar at home, delivered by Dr. McGraw. We had one bedroom for my sister, myself, and my parents. We had a half bath and a kitchen. 7.5 years we lived in that place. There was no welfare. There was no food stamps. There was no safety net. But I always had plenty to eat. Because every time I asked for seconds, my dad would say, no, you had plenty. But the reason I was born with a silver spoon, my dad had only gone to the 3rd grade. That's all the education he had. But why was I born with a silver spoon in my mouth? Because I was taught by my parents that life's a matter of making choices, wherever you are, good or bad, because of choices you make. Don't blame anybody else, but if you get an education, you're willing to work and overcome problems and difficulties, in this great country, you can amount to something. That's why I was born with a silver spoon. I was in this country and I was taught personal responsibility for choices you make. And when we talk about a commitment to excellence, that's a choice you make. What do you want to do? Having hopes and dreams and ambition. See, I think that is absolutely critical. Don't make the mistake I made. I've done a lot of dumb things, but let me tell you the one thing I regret. We went to the University of Notre Dame. We took a program on the bottom. We took it to the very top. And for 9 straight years, we went to a January 1 bowl, the sugar, the cotton, the orange, or the fiesta. Nobody's done it before. Nobody's done it since. We put it on top and we maintained it. That's the thing I regret the most. See, there's a rule in life that said you're either growing or you're dying. The tree's either growing or it's dying. So's grass, so's a marriage, so's a business, so's a person. Doesn't have a thing to do with age. My birthday candles cost more than a cake. But it has everything to do, am I trying to get better? Am I trying to prove? We got on top and say, you know, this is pretty good. Let's maintain it. Let's not take any risk. We finished second in the country at Notre Dame. Everybody called me an idiot. Guy finishes last in medical school, they call him doctor. That doesn't seem fair. When I left Notre Dame, I never thought I'd coach again. Where'd you go from Notre Dame? According to my mother, you go directly to heaven, you sit by the Pope. You don't coach anymore. And then I went to live in a town where the average age was deceased. And what I found out, I wasn't tired of coaching. You have to have something to hope for, something to dream. And even though you've done great things so far, what's going to happen now? I want to give you a simple plan. Life doesn't have to be complicated. I try to keep life simple. Do you realize there are only 7 colors of the rainbow? Only 7. Look what Michelangelo did with those 7 colors. There's only 7 musical notes. Look what Beethoven did with those 7 notes. There's only 10 numbers. Look what Bernie Madoff did with those 10 numbers. The point I make is it doesn't have to be complicated. See, you need 4 things in your life. If you don't have any of these 4 things in your life, you're going to have a tremendous void. See, everybody needs something to do. Number 2, everybody needs someone to love. Number 3, everybody needs someone to believe in. In my case, is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. But the 4th thing you need in your life is you need something to hope for. There's never a right time to do the wrong thing. And there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. Just do what's right. I think it's right to be honest, right to be on time. See, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy life. Have fun. You're going to have problems. You're going to have difficulties. That's part of life. And don't tell people about your problems. Do you know that 90% of the people don't care? And the other 10% are glad you got them. So you're better off to keep it yourself. You're going to have problems. But have fun with what you're doing. People say, did you have fun doing the ESPN? Not really. Because if you have fun being here, people have fun being around. Doesn't mean I don't do dumb things. And sometimes I wasn't real honest. Do everything to the best of your ability with time allotted. You know, ladies and gentlemen, not all of us be All-America. Not everybody can be first team. Everybody can be the best you're capable of being. And I want to tell you, if you want to fail, you have the right to fail. That's what's great about this country. You do not have the right to cause other people to fail because you don't do everything best your ability. When you join a spouse, you bring a child in the world, you join a business, you join a team. You have obligations, responsibilities, and you owe it to other people to do the maximum you can at each and everything you do. It's not complicated. And the last rule, to show people you care. And you walk in the room, your attitude, hey, here I am, look at me. It's like, no. Your attitude, there you are, how can I help you? I wish I knew those 3 rules when I was 21. I've used them for the last 40 years. There's a statue of me at Notre Dame. I guess they need a place for the pigeons to land, but if you go look at it, just don't look at 3 words on the pedestal. Trust, commitment, love.
Okay, so the YouTube is over. I'll go back to the slide. So basically, in the end, chase excellence, then success will follow you. And remember the Nike logo, just do it. Let's not keep talking about the plans and keep just pushing the papers, but execute your plan. That is what will get you the maximum results. And one important item, patience, persistence, and perspiration makes an unbeatable combination for success from the Napoleon Hill. So with that, we are ready to take the questions on the chat box. So I'll go to the chat, and there are 16 items already sitting there. So I'll make it a little bit bigger here. Maybe not. Okay, first item is understand from your speech that soft skills are equally important. Many students from rural areas are good in tech skills, but are found lacking in soft skill. Are soft skills more difficult than hard skills to develop? I believe both hard skills and soft skills requires work. They are both not that difficult. If you can master the hard skills, you can master the soft skills. The issue is, while we are in the university studying in different colleges, we neglect the soft skills. And that was the problem with me, myself. When I graduated from IIT BHU, my soft skills were not up to par. I learned all of that working in the corporate sector with multinationals. So the whole idea is we need to work on the soft skills while we are still in the university in the safe setting. Keep mastering the soft skills, and there are many avenues. There is a lot of information available online, etc. And you have to make a special effort to balance hard skill and soft skills. Topic of career development, guidance, critical skills to be learned on this competitive world. Refer some platform to get these critical skills. Now, as I mentioned, you can read books, and you can read, you can review some videos, YouTubes. There's a tremendous amount of material available because of the internet. So you need to do some self-searching and also work with your peers. If somebody has found good resource, keep sharing it and build on each other's knowledge, because in the life, that collaboration and cooperation will take you further. You will make lifelong commitment to help each others. It's not that you want to become the best and leave everybody behind. When you take everybody with you, the entire generation will move forward, and this is how we build the nation, helping each other, learn from each other. Now, a lot of private training skill centers coming up, scamming students with full development programs. So you have to be vigilant. You don't want to be taken by those scam artists. You need to ask people who have been through some of these programs, look for good recommendation. But I would suggest read good books, good information, good videos from the internet, etc. Okay, I'll continue to move through this. Okay, so thank you very much for joining. Let's see, except my classmate joining invitation, waiting in the lobby. That has been, I think everybody's in now. Okay, I'm moving quickly here. On the topic of career development and guidance, we talked about the platforms. Basically, you have to look for published material and don't get taken by the scam artist. Questioned by an engineering student. Number of engineering students land up in non-engineering jobs because of the lack of opportunities. Guide us on how to keep ourselves motivated until we get back to the core jobs. So let me give you a little shocking statistics. So India Today, a couple of years back, published something which was alarming, that only 7% of the engineering graduates are able to do the engineering job. 93% do not have the right skill set. So this is a combination where students are not applying themselves. And secondly, some of the institutions are not teaching them the right skills, not even the hard skills, not to talk about soft skills. So that is the problem. unless you have learned everything needed to be learned while you are in the university, rather than go around and waste your time not to attend classes, only do partial reading, only doing limited thing, that is not going to help you. And I can tell you, when I was doing my undergraduate work, I used to get up at 6 in the morning and will go to sleep at 12 at night. During the day, we had classes from 7:30 to 12, 1 hour lunch break, back to school, 1 to 4, come back, have a little snack, little rest, and then start working on the homework. And it was so rigorous. Used to have 9 months out of a year, rigorous training between 6 in the morning to 12 at midnight. And this is where you are young, you have a great mind, empower yourself to be like a sponge, take up all the information coming to you and make the most of it. And what you don't understand, ask the faculty, ask your students, other students who are good at it. And I'll tell you, the importance of mentoring other students is beneficial to you itself. So in the first time, the second year of the 5-year program, when I joined IIT BHU, we had 20 students, 8 from Mumbai and 12 from Gujarat, because our seats had doubled from 30 to 60. Now, many of my Gujarati friends, they had come out first time out of the house, and unfortunately my parents had passed away at the age of 6. So I've stayed in the boardings and away from home. So my focus was coming from the middle class family education. So in a 9-month cycle, no semester system, 13 subjects, I used to study very well in the first 8 months and leave the 9th month for working with my friends. I would have wonderful notes created, solve previous year's question papers, and circulate those notes with my friends who will buckle down in the last 1 month, which is not the best approach, because your mind cannot absorb 13 subjects in 1 month. And you need to be preparing every day to be ready at the end of the 9th month. So what happened was, during the 9th month, I don't have to study. I had finished my studies. I was helping my friends who were brilliant, but they did not put right effort in the first 8 months. They will pose tough questions. How did you come up with this solution? And why? What is the logic for that solution? Answering those questions allowed me to go deeper into the subject matter, which cleared up my doubts, because when you have to convince somebody else, you really need to know the fundamentals. So remember, learn to understand the fundamentals, not just memorizing facts, because those memorization will fade away after you come out of the exam room. But if you have understood the foundation and the basics, fundamentals, that will stay for the rest of the life, and you can tackle any problem coming your way. So when you help others, you get help much more. So remember that. And those early experiences helped me to get into academics and consulting. So God helps you in many different ways when you are willing to help others. Okay, soft skills equally important. Okay, I think we covered that. Any job opportunity for visual communication students? I believe one suggestion I have is National Association for the Blind, with the branches all over India. They create some opportunity for visually impaired people, and there are special programs they have. So I would suggest look them up. MBA, not my first choice. CA and ICAWA, difficult to study. Join MBA. Many students like me who join a course of study, they are unable to get what we want. Okay, guide us on how to replan our career based on what we get to do eventually. So as I mentioned in my journey of life, I started out with chemical engineering. Fortunately, I got what I wanted. But after a while, I developed more interest on the business side when I did my MBA. And I can tell you one thing, if you are in the engineering discipline, think about taking some elective courses on the business side, or if you are on the business side, take some operations, supply chain, quality management courses in the engineering side. Either you remain as a technical person, there is a ceiling right away. You can progress so much. But if you have a combination, engineering and business, that is where you move faster up the ladder, because you know the foundation of engineering, but now you have exposure to the business side. And that combination is very powerful, because life is not working in a linear fashion. You need to cut across, use the combination engineering and business. And I would say in MBA, if you find a niche area, which I found marketing was of interest to me, I studied really hard and enjoyed the marketing concepts, which I have been using from the time I got my MBA up till now. And one other comments I want to make, getting a degree is just the beginning of the journey. Don't stop learning. You need to be a lifelong student. At this age, I'll be completing 75 years at the end of October. I continue to read Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan Management Review, McKinsey Quarterly, Inc., Forbes, any and good information coming in the business side, quality side. I continue to hone up my skill and keep myself refreshed, because unless I am up to date with my knowledge, I cannot pass it on to the students in the classroom. Okay, so here is a kudos to Captains Venkatramanji and Vijay Kumarji for inviting the faculty, students, etc. And let's see, there are 3 more comments. Okay, the one question here, let me go back. Okay, so there is a thank you to the entire team from Dr. Sai Kumar, Sai Kumari V, Professor and Head Management Studies, Ashwari Engineering College, Chennai. So thank you very much. Okay, MBA student and want to become an entrepreneur. My parents are advising me to work for a few years and gain experience before starting the business. But I want to start digital marketing company immediately after my studies. What should I do? I'm 19-year-old. That's the next question. Okay. I think your parents' advice seems to be right. Unless you have some idea where you have definite market and you can go to market right away, it's better to get some experience working in the company to see how different aspects of the business are conducted. Having that practical knowledge will serve you very well when you begin your own company. And I can tell you, I started as an entrepreneur very late in life, so I don't regret it. But what I learned from working with the multinational companies, it helped me when I launched my own business. So that experience will guide you to be better at what you do. Only difference is if you have some unique idea for which you have a ready market and you can make money right away by serving that market, then it's a different option. You need to think about that, work with your parents, as well as form a team of other friends who are in the same field who you can collaborate with. So you are sharing the risk with them as well. Okay, then there is a question. I am a 19-year-old studying BCom now, want to become a cricketer. During my school days, represented my school in inter-school cricket. Because family condition, I could not join any cricket coaching. I often feel dejected, unable to focus on studies. I'm confused whether pursue study or cricket. So if you go back to the theory of strengths, what is your strength? You need to find out. And you have to make up your mind. Do you want to play cricket or you want to do study? Or you want to do studies and represent your college in the cricket and take it forward? So that decisions you will have to make, and nobody else can make decision for you. So I'll leave it at that. I think there are a couple more comments and I'm just watching in the interest of time. We'll try to take all the questions. What do you think pursuing a career in psychology in India? I think it's a good discipline. We have a large population in India. I don't think there are enough psychologists in India. And this is one area where I think India can do better. I was reading and talking to several psychologists here. They say the ratio is very low. Number of psychologists per 1,000 or 100,000 population is very, very low compared to the rest of the world. So that discipline will definitely serve you well. Thanks for the great session. Privileged to be part of the talk. Very insightful presentation. Okay. I've recently read and see the news about many of corporate stop hiring employees in the present situation, many of them losing jobs in COVID, how to overcome the situation. Now, this situation is extremely disheartening because a lot of students got the offer during December hiring season. Commitments were made, but now the corporates are turning them down. So one solution I'm seeing from my IIT BHU friends, Professor Anil Kumar Agrawal, he is the head of TPO, Training and Placement Cell. They are approaching the alumni of the institute, see if they can make accommodation to the students, allow them to join alumni companies instead of where they had the offer and those offers are rescinded. So something creative has to be found, because if they don't find any job, then we are putting lot of students in the unemployment row, which is not good for the nation. And I think the corporates have to understand that this is a tough situation. They have to bite the bullet, allow the young engineers who have been made offer to come in, and you can adjust the salary, etc., a little bit for the time being until the situation improves, but give them a chance to show their worth and encourage them to be joining rather than turning it down. So this needs a good thinking, and this is where the leadership at the companies will make a big difference. So you look at the Tatas, right? Great leadership, they have a positive mindset, and they make the right decisions to help people who join the company. Thanks for the talk. Yeah, and let's see, I think there is one more item and then we'll be stopping. Yeah. Okay. Many successful Indians I see have they done masters in US or UK. Is it necessary to go abroad for higher studies? No, not necessary. I think we need to mute everybody. Let's mute everybody for 1 more minute and I'll stop.
Prakash, mute.
Yeah, thank you. So I don't think it's necessary to go for higher studies outside India. We have a number of opportunities. And in my case, I had to go because in my time in '68, there was not much more opportunity in the industry. Either you knew somebody, then you get a job, or else nothing to do, right, in that discipline. That's the reason I had to go out. And of course, I decided to stay here because once I got married, our children are not going to come back, but not necessary to go overseas to get the education. And in the current situation, as Captain mentioned, that people are looking inward and we have great opportunity within India itself, and more needs to be created by MHRD. So with that, I think we have covered everything. Back to you, Captain Vijay Kumarji.
Thank you so much, sir. You have been wonderfully covering the entire gamut of what one should know. Before we let you go, another 2-3 minutes is there. I thought I'll ask you 2 questions, which I thought very essential for the students. One is you mentioned they must develop the habit of humility. Now, many people do not know how to develop the habit of humility, sir, because this is one thing I want you to share with them. How you have to be humble. How do you develop the quality of humility?
Yeah. I think if you remember that last lecture by Professor Clayton Christensen, what we need to remember is God has sent us on this earth to do something good for others, not just for ourselves. So keep that in mind. And see, in my case, I learned it the hard way. When I lost my parents by the age of 6, my extended family helped me a lot. Then I entered the college. I had so many good friends who helped me out, and I was good at studies, so I was able to help them. along the way, I had so many great mentors who taught me what is important in life. And when we work on helping others, we forget our own problems. And other thing I have learned is you look at the successful people in any discipline, any domain, how humble they are, how much contribution they have made. In comparison to that, what we do is very little compared to them, right? So we can always learn from others and try to be the best we can, because that's our own interest and it's in our own hands. And one thing I've learned to have the self-confidence. And I can tell you, I don't know everything in the world, but whatever I know, I am good at that and I continue to do that. And what I don't know, I don't get into it. And that's the best way to stay out of trouble. And humility, I believe I learned from my parents to start with, and the family sets the example. And along the way, great mentors, great faculty, great bosses helped me to grow. And one thing, I have been very lucky and honored to help others along my life. And that is a real fulfillment in the life, because at the end of the day, when we go and meet the Creator, we will not be asked how much money you earned, right? We'll be asked how many people have you helped in your life. And that's the focus. So thank you for the question, Vijay Kumar ji.
Thank you, Professor. And I think it's all you put in summing up, that you have to be a lifelong learner so that you continue to do, even now you keep learning. One last question before we let you go is, we thought one important factor which really impact a large number of students which they lack is the networking ability of them, and how to develop the self-branding. All the time, be conscious of your brand. Maybe you would like to shortly, briefly tell them how you enhance your personal brand and also connect.
Networking. Yeah. So I think both are interconnected. Now, networking part, I can tell you, the students in the university need to do certain things. First, be good in your studies. So that is your obligation to yourself and to your parents, that the commitment you have made, good with your studies. Secondly, join a professional society in your field. So if you are in a business association, and perfect example is MMA student chapter at the university, they should join, interact with adults, the leaders, and learn from them. And the other thing is, have great friends made at the university itself across different departments, because that friendship you forge in the university is going to stay for the lifetime. And you will be able to help them, and they will be able to help you in placement, growing in the field, learning from each other's experience, etc. And the last thing is, extend yourself to help others who are in need. And particularly in this critical time, we need to look outside, not just for ourselves. When we look at others who are struggling in studies, mentor them. Go outside the campus, people who need a little bit of help in education, in other areas, primary health, irrigation, water issues, sanitation, etc. Extend your hand. You will get to learn to work with the adults. You will be able to do better time management, and you will get some satisfaction. And that journey begins as early as possible. And that's where you will get the most benefit at the end of the life. Yeah, so I would leave that comment. Networking and enhancing your brand by doing the right thing. And personally, what I have done is I continue to write research papers, publish it, continue to share with friends, different professional organizations. And the more you share, people know what you are good at, and they will come back and ask for more. And this is how the cycle continues. That will be my humble request.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vora. It's been a fascinating time. The last 1.5 hours have been so insightful. I'm quite sure the larger number of students who are watching this program live from different sources, from Zoom, live on webinar, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. And thank you, students, for joining in such a big number. It clearly indicates the interest in you, that how well you want to be. in your career planning. And I know we are going through difficult times. I am very optimistic, and all difficult time lead you to very great outcome. Be passionate in whatever you do, and please take away whatever there, whatever professor spoke will be available on our website for the next 1 year. Please tell the students who have missed it out so that they can join and watch the program to get the benefit of deliberation. Thank you once again, all the faculties and professors who enabled, facilitated students to participate. Thank you, Mangat. Done a great job. Prakash and my team from MMA, Shankar and Sundar. Thank you so much. And Professor, we let you go now. It must be already 12 o'clock past midnight at Chicago now. And I really appreciate your passion. I think all the students watching this program to understand the professor at this age is so passionate to pass on the knowledge to you. I am quite sure you should take whatever everything said by the professor in your career and start planning your career to be a great high performance manager and high performance leader. Thank you so much, and stay safe, stay healthy, and keep rocking and keep learning.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and one last announcement. On the 13th of May, we will have an effective time management program tailored for the student community, and other professionals can join as well.
Yeah, thank you. Professors offered a number of programs on lean and time management. They will be bringing professor regularly to speak to the students and also our members. Thank you, Professor. You have been very generous in your offer to support the management, Madras Management Association. Thank you so much. And once again, good night, and thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. All the students, dear students, keep learning. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, Vijay Kumarji. And thank you all for wonderful work, and appreciate it. So good night. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye.
Good night, sir. Bye-bye.